Welcome to Path to Alignment with Hungry Yogi. My name is Natalie, your host. I'm a trauma-informed life alignment coach, yoga teacher, and retreat facilitator. If you made it here, you are ready to awaken parts of your soul that have been waiting to be unleashed. We will cover any and all aspects of the human experience. We get open and vulnerable about life and cover the shadows of life as well as the light. I'm so grateful that your soul found its way here. And if you would like to go deeper into your personal development journey, all the links to learn about my offerings are in the description. Without further ado, let's get aligned. Welcome to Path to Alignment. On today's episode, I share a little bit about my journey to India. I talk about my solo trip, my first time actually traveling alone and traveling alone across the world. I talk about breaking the paradigms of thinking that as a woman, I have to depend on somebody else to care for me or for my own survival. I talk about breaking those paradigms and rewriting generational stories for the women that came before me to become more independent and to become more self-sufficient and self-reliable. I also talk about the journey of becoming comfortable with being alone, the difference between feeling lonely and being alone, and how you can actually create so much peace within yourself, being alone so much that having others in your life is simply a beautiful supplement to the joy that you already feel within yourself. So I hope that you enjoy this episode and that it brings you some alignment in your life. So I went on the first real solo trip of my life, and it was literally a spur of the moment decision, which is crazy to say. Like, I flew to India in a spur of the moment decision because it's literally across the world. And my family was definitely terrified when I told them I was doing it. So I have a whole story for you guys, and I'm just going to share like a little bit of the process of what got me there, like what got me to actually make the decision to go to India. You're going to hear my cat meowing in the back. I'm not going to edit that out because we love him. But yeah, my process with getting to India, like how I made that decision to go all the way across the world. And then the journey of actually getting there and being there. I was there for an entire month. And this was a dream that I had for many years. Truly, since I did my first yoga teacher training, when was that? I think that was in 2020 or 2019. 2019 or 2020 is when I did my first yoga teacher training, which was 200 hours to get certified to become a yoga teacher. And that first training that I did was virtual. So that was a virtual yoga teacher training during the pandemic because I just had this nudge in my heart and soul that I wanted so badly to become a yoga teacher. Like, I was like, I just want to learn about yoga. I want everything to do with it because it saved my life. It helped me understand myself, my childhood, just like the meaning of life in so many ways. So I was like, I want to be able to access that and help others feel the same thing that I've felt through this practice. So when I did my first training, it being virtual, I learned a lot. Like, it was a really great virtual training. And I went straight into teaching after that. And I told myself, okay, the next training that I do, because I'm going to do trainings forever. Like, I'm forever a student of yoga, even though I'm a teacher. Like, the practice is so deep and so profound. And it is so ancient that I could learn about it for the rest of my entire life and more lifetimes to come. Like, that's how deep yoga is. So I'm committed to being a student forever and doing many more teacher trainings. But to become essentially an advanced yoga teacher, or kind of like a pro yoga teacher, if you want to call it that, you do 500 hours of your teacher training. And even then, I feel like I still know this much of a world of yoga. So I told myself, okay, the next teacher training is going to be in India. Like, I want to go to the land of where yoga came from. I want to learn from the people that live in the land and immerse myself completely in that. But I told myself this would probably be in like 10 years. I don't know. I just had a random number in my head. Like, there's just no way it's going to happen now. I'm in the middle of developing my business, my goals and all of the things, since I talked in the past episodes about how I came out of engineering school and completely went out of that path and stepped completely into this path of becoming a life coach, a yoga teacher, a wellness entrepreneur, a Pilates teacher, all sorts of things, a retreat host, a podcaster, all the things that you could think of. Kind of dabbled in a lot of things, but they've all been just so meaningful to me. So I was like, there's just no way. Like, I have to develop my career first, my entrepreneurial goals, in order to then get myself to go to India, because it's a huge expense. How am I going to leave in the middle of like building so many things in my life? So I didn't think it would happen anytime soon. But this past year, 2025, was one of the hardest freaking years of my life in ways that I can't even explain. Like, I've had very challenging times in my life, very challenging. But this past year in particular was like, it felt like my soul, like the best way to describe it, it felt like my soul was like shrinking and dying. And at the same time, like it was reviving itself. And it was just going through this process of shrinking and then expanding, shrinking and then expanding. It was like painful and really uncomfortable and really like holding two polarities at the same time of like extreme blessings and amazing opportunities and so much joy and so much love, and at the same time so much pain and challenge and like nuance and trying to just like stay above the water and survival mode. Like, that's what this year felt like for me. And there came a point in about, I think it was like April of 2025, where I was just on Instagram and I happened to stumble upon a reel of a girl explaining her 500-hour advanced yoga teacher training in Rishikesh, India. I was like, oh my gosh. So I clicked on it and it was just like a day in the life type of thing. And I was like, wow, that looks amazing. She was in the Himalayan mountains and she was just showing like how every morning they woke up at 5 a.m. The morning bell rings, and then you go and do your like morning cleansing practices, meditation, breath work, pranayama, your asana practice, and then like just the philosophy and like how much discipline each of the days had for an entire month. And I was like, oh my God, this is insane. Like, I need to go to this. I need to do this. So I start going through rabbit holes. I find the Instagram page of the place that she went to, and then I message her and I'm like, hey, like, I'm so interested in doing this program. Like, what do you think? Next thing you know, I'm on the program's website looking at their pricing and I'm like, holy shit, like truly, like, how am I going to make this work right now in this specific moment in my life? Like, there's so much that I have going on right now. Like, how am I going to like get up and leave for a month? But there's something so freaking beautiful about pain, you guys, about being in extreme moments of challenge and rock bottom. Because when you're in rock bottom and when you're in pain is when you make the biggest decisions of your life sometimes. The ones that actually change your life for the better in many ways. That's the same thing that happened when I actually decided to become a yoga teacher. The first round of my teacher training, I was going through a divorce. I was going through just like a really tough time in my life. And I was kind of having this like awakening, a spiritual awakening of like, I need something different in my life. I was going to school, but I was just like, there's something more for me and I feel it and it's nudging at me. And yoga had found me and I had found yoga. I was like, I'm doing it now. I'm doing it now because this is going to change my life. And I felt it and I could feel it in my heart and soul. And I would say I'm kind of an impulsive person. Like, that's something it's a double-edged sword. It's a blessing and a curse at times because I am very impulsive. Like, when I want something, I go for it immediately. And at the same time, sometimes it can get too much. Like, it can give me anxiety because it's like, I want it now, you know? So, but at the same time, it has its blessings, right? Because I don't really think about things twice too many times. I'm just like, okay, I'm doing it. And there's an invisible net that's going to catch me on the other side. So anyways, I said, you know what? Okay, I could go in June. This was April of 2025. I said I could go to the one in June or I could go to the one in like October. Like, I was kind of looking at different dates and I was like, I'm going now. I'm going to the one that's coming right up right now. I'm going. So I bought the tickets. I made it work and I went. And the craziest thing is, as soon as I bought those tickets and as soon as I made that decision, one of the biggest opportunities of my life came my way. I got an opportunity to partner up with Airbnb to create my own Airbnb experience in Houston, which is basically this unique digital art, yoga, and breathwork journey inside of this infinity room. I got to work with these artists, and like I built that with the artists, right? Like the Airbnb people came up to me and they said, "Hey, like we want to create something unique in Houston, and we want you to like basically just build whatever it is that you want and we'll put it on our platform." And I was like, "What? Like this is the coolest opportunity ever." And that happened as soon as I made the decision to go to India. So that started to bring me so many blessings in all of the ways. And it felt like that there's the safety net, the invisible safety net, that the moment I make a decision that feels absolutely terrifying, and my logical mind starts to say, well, how are you going to make that work? What do you mean you're going to leave in the middle of this? Well, like all of these, the chatter of the mind that starts to tell you like why you shouldn't. But I decided to listen to the part of myself that was saying, everything's going to be okay. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to return and I'm going to have opportunities when I get back. Anything that is not mine will leave, and anything that is meant to be mine will stay. And that's how I chose to approach that situation. Let me take a sip of my chai. It's so good. And it's so appropriate because this is all I drink in India. And by the way, on that note, I'm drinking chai from Ritual Euphorics. This is my best friend Valentina's brand. And I'm one of the ambassadors for Ritual Euphorics. They have delicious adaptogenic lattes from chai to matcha to cacao to turmeric, golden milk lattes. And it's just like a powder that has adaptogenic mushrooms like lion's mane, chaga, reishi, all brain boosting. And it has something called kanna, which is this amazing plant that boosts your serotonin and just gives you this mood boosting effect. It's delicious. So anyways, I'm drinking some chai right now. Before I started making the video, I was like, how perfect to make a chai as I'm talking about India. I drink a chai every single day while I was in India, and I became obsessed. And this one actually tastes just like it. My friend Valentina went to India, she's a huge inspiration. I've talked about her before, you guys, and she was in one of my very first episodes of Path to Alignment. So if you guys want to go back and listen to that episode, you'll see it's with Valentina. She is the one that inspired me to become a yoga teacher to begin with. She's the one that literally kind of paved this path for me to enter my spiritual journey, because she was one of my best friends from high school. She became a bodybuilder, and then she went on this spiritual journey. She went on a solo trip to India and then got her yoga teacher certification and did all of these beautiful things. And then now she built this brand called Ritual Euphorics, and we get to be a part of it together. So she asked me to be one of her ambassadors, and I'm just like so honored, and I genuinely love it. So if you guys want to try it, you can click on the link below this video, and that's my little ambassador link. So you'll be able to get sent to that specific link, and you should get the discount. But if you don't, use my code HY15. Anyways, that was fun. I've always wanted to have sponsors for things. I'm like, this is so great. Like to be sponsored specifically by a brand that I feel so in alignment with. It's my best friend's brand, and it's so close to my heart because she's literally the one that paved the way for even us to be on this podcast right now. I love you, Valentina. Anyways, all the opportunities that I needed came my way to make it even possible for me to go for an entire month. And it was the most life-changing experience of my life. I am still integrating it. It's been more than 6 months since that journey. And the reason it was so life-changing for me was because I had never traveled alone. I had never really done anything like that alone. And one of my dreams for a very long time, or one of my goals in life, has been to become more independent, like more self-reliable, like knowing that I'm self-sufficient, and that even though I love humans, that I don't have to depend on others for my own survival, for my own happiness, and to make decisions for myself. I think growing up with a Hispanic family in our culture, it's very common for women to just like be stay-at-home moms, which there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's beautiful. My mom was the best mom possible. My grandma was an amazing grandmother and mother. They did the best that they could with the capacity that they had. And while that's so beautiful, I knew growing up that I wanted to do something different for myself, do something where I didn't have to rely on somebody else for my livelihood, where I could look at myself and say like, wow, like I have the power to be able to choose for myself what I want to do in life. And I don't have to be afraid to choose certain things because I'm with someone. In the past, I was married and I was living under that paradigm that like the person I'm with makes more money or takes care of us. And I kind of just like try my best to like contribute with what I can. I was also in school at the time, but at the same time, I was studying engineering for the specific purpose that I knew I wanted to be self-sufficient, that I knew that was a job that was going to allow me to be self-sufficient because engineers make good money. When I made the decision to go on this trip, it was so much bigger than like, I'm just going on a trip. It was like, I am rewriting a story of my past generations. I am rewriting the story of ancestors and people that came before me, women that came before me that felt like they were powerless, like they couldn't do something on their own, like they had to depend on somebody else to be able to live. And I just simply wanted to tell myself, like, that's just not the truth that I want to live with at all. So for me to completely reframe that, I knew that I had to take some big actions. One of those was becoming an entrepreneur, like choosing myself, betting on myself. And then this decision to go to India by myself, to buy the plane tickets, hop on a plane, like get there by myself, find out the arrangements, how to get the logistically from one place to the other, like all of the things. That was a declaration to myself that I'm actually ready. And that has shifted me in ways that I can't even explain right now. I will share so much more in the future. I'm still in the current process of integrating so much. And like, I'm seeing things unfold in my life right now that would have never happened had I not gone on that trip to India by myself. So I get to India and I'm there for a whole month. And when I got there, it was such a beautiful journey because I go on this plane and it was the longest freaking flight of my life, but I decided to get a really nice fancy Emirates flight. I was like, okay, I've been waiting for this moment. If I'm going to be on a flight for this long, let me splurge a little bit here. I got this. I'm going to be okay. I am okay. It's been 6 months. I'm actually better than okay. At the time it felt scary, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this because I know I'm going to be okay. So I flew and I had the best meals of my life on that plane. And then when I got to India, I got picked up by a driver that was arranged by the ashram that I would be staying at for an entire month. And I just remember my eyes of like awe, like in disbelief of like the fact I got myself to India. I cried so many times on the way to India on that plane, like good tears, like tears of like, holy shit, like I'm actually doing this. Like I can't believe this. When we were driving on the way to the ashram, all I could see was jungle and mountains, monkeys everywhere, cows in the middle of the road. Like people were driving around the cows. Like I was so culture shocked. I had never seen anything like this in my entire life. The amount of cars and like disorder that there was like, there was something beautiful about the chaos. I was like, wow, like this is wild. So it was like a good 1 hour drive and we get to where he was going to drop me off and he dropped me off in the middle of the road and he said, okay, you're here. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I don't see anything anywhere. And he's like, yeah, like that's the mountain. You're going to climb that mountain and that donkey is going to take your suitcase. I'm like, what? Okay. So anyways, I see somebody wearing one of the ashram shirts. I'm like, okay, I guess this is legit. Like, I'm just going to give my suitcase to this donkey. Poor little thing. I didn't take a huge suitcase, thankfully, because I knew that there was going to be a donkey situation. I didn't know how big this mountain was going to be, you guys. I really did not know it was going to be this big of a mountain. So I give my suitcase to this little donkey. I tell him thank you. And then I put on my backpack and I start hiking up this mountain. Mind you, I was wearing flip-flops. Like I literally was not prepared for this hike. But as I'm walking up the mountain, I see kids kind of going up the mountain even by themselves. So I'm kind of like, okay, I'm good, I'm safe. And also there's kids. So I'm sure this mountain isn't that tough. Like they're kids. They're going to go up the same mountain as me. You guys, it took me an hour to hike up this mountain. It was like the biggest mountain I've ever hiked up in my life. I haven't gone hiking too much. The hikes I've done have been like in Austin. They haven't been like big hikes. I've done maybe one big hike in my life, but this was definitely up there with a backpack, with flip-flops, in super hot weather of India in the summertime. I was dying. I had to take multiple breaks on my way up to this mountain. But on the way up to the mountain, again, I cried. Like I just had multiple pit stops where I would just like sit down, look around and be like, holy shit, like this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I can't believe I'm here. It was so amazing. So anyways, I got to the mountain, to the top of the mountain, and I just literally like, I couldn't believe my eyes. So long story short, because I'm going to be posting, I actually recorded some vlogs while I was there, and I'm going to be editing those and putting them up on my YouTube. So you guys will get to actually see like visuals of the whole thing. But I got there and I got my room, and I decided last minute to get a room by myself because I was going to room with somebody, and I decided, you know what? I'm here on a solo journey. I'm here on a journey of like deep self-discovery, of deep connection with myself. Let me just get a room all by myself. So last minute when I got there, I said, hey, is there a little cabin where I could stay by myself? They had one. It was perfect. And the journey was just wild. It was so fun, and at the same time there was so many moments where I was scared. There was a rat in my room one night. That was a crazy story. But yeah, I'm gonna share so much more throughout the episodes of just like moments throughout the ashram. But all in all, like the one thing that I really wanted to gain from that experience was discipline, and to just get to know myself in a different way, and to get to connect to yoga in a very authentic way, to live like a yogi for an entire month. And that's essentially what I did. And it was so beautiful and it was so profound. And I'm just really proud of myself. And I hope that this inspires you if you've been someone that's kind of held back from doing things on your own, from traveling by yourself, from even just taking yourself out to a dinner all by yourself. Let this inspire you to do more things on your own, because there's a really big difference between being lonely and being alone. I've learned that you can be alone and never feel lonely when you've actually developed so much joy within yourself and so much peace within who you are as a human being, your life, when you've made peace with the parts of yourself that you've maybe neglected in the past or suppressed. And being lonely comes just from this dissatisfaction of who you are and how you feel about yourself. So then we try to numb ourselves, to numb the parts of us that we don't feel are worthy of being looked at, or we try to be around people all the time so that we're not having to look within ourselves to see things that come up, so that we don't have to be with our uncomfortable thoughts. I heard a little girl say one day, she was like, I don't like silence because my thoughts are really loud. I was like, wow, like that is so profound. And that is so true for the majority of humanity. Our thoughts are way too loud and we don't know how to make peace with them. So I want to just give you a little place to start. You don't have to go to India. You don't have to hop on a plane and go on like the biggest trip of your life right now. Take small steps, and one small step to become very comfortable with being alone with yourself. Start to meditate. Start to do yoga, practices that make you look within yourself and that start to kind of create this different relationship with your thoughts. Start to create a peaceful place in your mind, a place in your mind that feels like home, that doesn't feel like you have to run away from and you have to escape from and numb from, and try to surround yourself with others so that you don't have to look at yourself. That is the beginning of being at peace with being alone and with never feeling lonely when you're alone, because You have created company within yourself, and you feel so much joy and peace with being on your own. So I hope that this episode was helpful for you, and let me know in the comments anything that came up for you in this episode. Drop a little like, a little subscribe button to stay tuned with the podcast. And I'm just so grateful to have you here on this path to alignment. I will see you guys on the next episode. Okay. Love you.